material. And required the most in our certification agencies. And honestly, it's what brings a lot of you to yoga to start with, right? The yoga postures. So we're really looking at them. I'll just review the loops as we're waiting for everyone to fill in with Nina here. So if Nina were to do extended triangle pose, for example, are you on the camera? You're not on the camera. Let's use this middle mat. Just breathe. I think facing the camera is probably better. So if Nina is doing extended triangle pose, I can work through the loops as the teacher with my dialogue, like things like lift and spread the toes, press down the four corners of the foot, and then I can dialogue. I can even do light touches. When I come, I can be like micro bend this knee, tiny knee. I can do the thigh loop where I come in and draw into this hip crease. That's the thigh loop, right? I can do the same thing on this knee, right? Draw up the thigh, and then I have both the hips. I can do things like the pelvic loop. Usually I karate chop the belly and turn the tail down, have her bow her chest forward. There she is. I can do the abdominal loop by having her knit her front ribs, and then I can have her hold her own head, or I can give her this, and then she can bring her arm up overhead, and then she gives me the melon of her head, and then that final loop is when I press on the crown of the head, right? So I have her here, and I all of these assists are just using the loops. And then I say, take your head, and let her go. Okay, and then I say, come on up, like that. Other side. Of course, I could touch her foot if I needed to. I generally don't. If I'm going to adjust the whole pose, if I see a hyperextended knee, I might just touch it lightly. But this always feels nice, the thighs into the pelvis. Checking the pelvis is always a good reminder. Bow your chest a little bit. Knitting the front ribs, giving them the head to press back into, and draw your shoulders toward your butt as you do that. So the shoulders go toward the butt. Then lift the arm, turn the head. And there I am. Remember, the cheekbones are your handles when you adjust the head. So I'm using my index fingers on her cheekbones. And then here I am plugging her head into the socket. Now there are people who are really pretty stiff, you know, so they'll really weight their head, and then you are able to turn it. It feels so relieving to them. Okay? And then take your head, and she's up. Go ahead and come up. So that's just the loops in action as you're a yoga teacher, like either talk teaching or physically assisting a pose. There are a lot of cueing that you can do, and it informs you how to easily touch. In the standing poses, obviously looking at the base of the pose is the most important. We're going to look at standing balancing poses. This is a whole class of postures, and we're generally looking at the ones that are oriented in the front plane rather than the fewer standing balancing poses that are oriented in the side plane. Okay, so who would like to demonstrate column pose? I know everyone's excited to do that after you ate your snack. Okay, Tracy, come on up. We're just watching Tracy do it. There's no really wrong vantage point. Yeah. So right knee up. So here she is. Left hand can go on your hip. You can relax your right foot. There she is. She actually looks pretty nice and straight, right? Generally, I have people micro bend the standing leg, then fully engage it. And what we're looking for is that the standing leg quadricep fully engages. It's really hard to perceive, but Tracy is very slightly leaning back. If you look, you'll see her shoulders are just a little bit behind her leg. So you can lean forward. And both hands at the knee. Exhale, knee to chest. There she is. Okay, fully engage your standing leg. She's trying to find it. Okay, looks nice, huh? And then release. Good job. Okay, other side. When we have hand at the hip, it reinforces the focal point. It also gives some awareness. So on this side, Tracy, it's a little different, right? So your right elbow, you're pulling behind you. You can let it come forward. There you go. And you are tiny bit leaning back. There you go. Then both hands, if you can. Exhale to bend in. And then release with control. Very nice, huh? Okay, so the simplest kind of assist is, and the safest for you to learn, is stabilize the base. And so if I were to stabilize the base, the easiest way I can do that is if I just come over here and say, you can put your hand on my shoulder. So I do this all the time in class. And why I do it is I will give a verbal cue. If you're new, please go to the wall. Or if you know you have trouble balancing, please go to the wall. And still people won't go. And so they start falling in the pose. And rather than rush, which is what a lot of you will do as teachers, you'll be like, oh my God, I've got 4 people falling. I better hurry up and finish this pose. Instead, hold it longer. Okay? Hold it longer. It'll give you plenty of time to walk over to them. So here she is.
So, but do you come on the side that they're going to lift?
No, usually I go on the other side. So that's a good question. So if she's going to do her right knee up, then I usually walk over here, or I might be in front of them. You see this? Do you see her tendency to lean back? I'm not even to the side of her, and I can tell she leaned back a little bit. Lean your chest forward a little bit. Okay. All right. You're so used to using your lower back muscles, and instead I want you to use your belly muscles. Can you rock up on the ball of your foot? Okay, good. All right. Then we're going to try the other side. And that's so easy. The other kind of stabilize the base is I can just give her a ceiling. So her left knee comes up. And some of you are like pushing sideways. You have to literally pull straight down. So even here, dear. Chest forward a little bit. Tail down a little bit. Yeah. Feels different, right? Mm-hmm. Now rock up.
Really?
Yep. Push up into me. Come on. There you go. See? All right. Okay. That's stabilizing the base. And it's super easy to do. Of the pose. The person can hold their knee, and now they flex the foot. The reason they relax the foot here is they're about to compress it into their abdomen. Okay, here they engage the foot because they're going to use it to open wide and cross over. Understand? Okay, so Tracy's here. She's doing column pose. Y'all are going to watch her. Okay, left hand at the hip. Okay, and then you correct yourself. You know you got to lean forward. It's like probably the rest of your life. You'll start the pose and then you have to lean forward.
Is leaning forward the only cue? Because is it just leaning, or is that she's not engaging her abdomen?
She's not engaging her abdomen. She's using her lower back.
Okay. But leaning forward, I've seen people just like literally just
Frequently when you say, you know, touch your bottom ribs and draw them in. You know, you can talk about anything. You can say touch near your pubic bone and draw it in. Any of those cues would also work. I find bow your chest to be like the most. If I start talking about bottom ribs, new people are like, "What's? You're eating ribs for supper?" That's not.
everybody does that dramatically, but I'm just saying like
That would. That's such a Vata cue.
no,
like,
someone told me that once. I'm pretty sure they like come here and I was like, oh, okay.
I would say that that's not the correct cueing. So I'd say it's actually that your bottom ribs come down instead of flaring out. If you were to poke up the diaphragm, the tendency would be to actually flare the bottom ribs, I think. So instead, it's more that they draw down, because the tendency is for you. If here's the rib cage, when you flare your ribs, it's that you've tilted your rib cage that way. So your bottom ribs have tilted out. So instead, we're trying to get the bottom ribs to draw in. And what it really has to do with is we're trying to get people to feel how to get more into using their iliopsoas muscles rather than stiffening in their lower back. So we want people more in their core line, and the core line drops down and then spreads in two through those iliopsoas muscle branches. So we're trying to get people into that rather than being two broken bodies that are kind of like counterbalancing each other by stiffening. Yep. That sounds fine. Yeah, it's fine. And I would rather people start in a curled shape. I would rather people even start here. I would rather that, especially kappa body types, rather than starting like this, you know. So I would rather people start in a curled shape in every pose. So here's Tracy. She's going to do moving column. Her right knee comes up. One hand, left hand at the hip. Flex your foot this time. Breathe with her. Ah. Then she's going to open to the side. And in our level 1 flow, just a few breaths, 2 breaths, 3 breaths, each one is fine. Back to center, switch hands, don't cross the midline. Then turn your chest and keep your hand at your hip. So here I am, right here.
Right. Yeah.
Hold on. This would probably make it easier.
Okay.
So when she goes to cross turn, if I'm here, this is better, right? Back to center, bow the chest, and push the door closed. All right, good. That movement shows that they've got control. When they finish the pose, if they can come here and press out without like, right? So you're demonstrating control the whole way. In this movement, the person can also turn their eye gaze the opposite direction. Those are things. When they use the wall, we want to face the wall because that way they can easily switch hands. So I'm here, I come back to center, I can switch hands and be like, oh, okay. All right, let's do the other side. And open wide. See if you can look right. Difficult. Come back to center. Stay there. Switch hands. Pause there. Keep your hand at your hip is fine. Or maybe turn your chest. Come to center. Bow the chest. No problem. Okay? And that's part of the deal. Okay? Tracy did great. Yeah? Yay, Tracy. Wonderful job. Now, if you're supporting a person and they're doing that moving version, you can just stand right in front of her and be there for her to touch if she needs to. That way you're not sure which side do I stand on. Just be in her front. So you're just a wall. Just be the wall. That's the easiest thing for the moving version. Macy, can you do that, this pose? So here's Macy. She's going to take her big toe and come out. And then you as the teacher, bend your knee. You okay? All right? Like that. All I am is just something for her to prop her leg on. Okay? Later on in the world, you can start to elevate it a bit. Okay? But all I am is just something for her. The key in these kind of assists is don't pull back toward you. If anything, push toward her. Okay? Then we walk out to the side together. I'm here. You see how my elbow's on my hip bone? It makes it super easy. She can actually go a little higher. Back to center. Come down, give her what's neutral. Grab here. And anytime she needs to push down on me, she can. Put your hand at your hip crease. Drop that hip. There you go. Turn your chest. That's the pose. So a lot of times people turn their arm. That doesn't do anything. Come back to center. This release is head to knee. Exhale. Straight leg.
Head to knee.
Yeah. Or foot to head. Head up. Leg down. You're going to bow to your own leg. Okay. Other side. Eventually she'll just be able to swing her leg up. It'll be right there. See how I caught it? Let's put my elbow against my own hip. Then wide. And there are little assists that I can do using the loops and spirals, right? I myself can touch here and turn that hip crease down. Does it make it deeper? Yeah. I come back to center. I put it in line with her hip. She needs to grab the outer edge of her foot. And I'm just leaning toward her a tiny bit, or not at all. And I'd rather see a student with her hand at her hip turning the chest than an arm out like a wing. Or if she puts her arm out, she can make a fist, pull the shoulder in the socket, then turn her chest. Okay, come to center. And then bring the leg toward the head and the head toward the leg. Inhale, head up. Exhale, leg down. All right, you all understand? This is not level 1 class. However, you'll have students like Macy in your level 1 class. And they'll be holding their foot. And so eventually you can learn to do that. So there's two postures that we just did. The basic column where the foot's relaxed because you're bringing it into your chest. And the moving column where your foot's flexed. So pair up with somebody. Oh, Nina. The legs out? If you're holding under the heel, that's a good question. Like, how do you know? You're going to notice if a person's already at their limit, really flexibility-wise. Like if they're just barely able to get the foot up to parallel, and they're like, then you won't want to push on the heel without them being able to engage their quads. So you might have to coach that. If they're extra flexible, then you can tell them, hey, might bend your knee a little bit. I mean, you see it. There's no way. And you can touch it too if you want. That is something to be mindful of. As we're doing these bigger assists, you do want to think about proper alignment and joint health. Okay, don't be shy. Just find somebody, preferably somebody you haven't worked with before. Okay. And I'll talk everyone through it at the same time. Okay, I'm talking you through it, so you don't need to really think about too much. Okay, watch them do column pose. And you watch from the side. If they fall, no problem. You can be close to give them a hand if you need. You can be there. You can put your hand out in case he needs it. Knee to chest if you're able. Yeah. There you go. That's good. Rock up on the ball of the foot. And release. Other side. Other side. So right sideline is where you'll be able to see whether they're leaning back or not. Knee to chest. Both hands. Rock up and release. Good job. Okay. If they were really wobbly, like super wobbly, then you might need to just be in front of them. Otherwise, we're going to try giving them a ceiling. Okay, give it a try. Same pose. You can try giving him a ceiling. Just get close to him. Hand on top of the head. That's fine. Yeah. Use the center of your palm. And you got to push down hard. Rock up and release. Good job. Yep. Hold. Yep, you're still pushing. You're still pushing. Now the crown of head is in line with the ears. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing, switch roles. And a reminder that the key action we're looking for is that that person can fully engage their standing leg. So now when you switch roles, look and see if you can actually feed that the kneecap gets drawn up into the quadricep. Are they really able to fully engage the leg? Okay, go ahead. You're just watching from the side. Relax the foot. Fully engage the standing leg. Then knee to chest, both hands. See from the side if they're in a plumb line or if they're leaning back. That's good. We'd rather that with her. You can relax your foot, right? That's a dead leg, the one you're holding. Good. Rock up and release the pose. Good job. Okay, change sides. Standing balancing poses are about the nervous system. Right now, they just gave themselves stress. How do they respond to stress? Do they keep breathing or do they tense up? Knee to chest. Still breathing. Rock up. Still breathing and release. Good job. Now you're going to do the same pose. You're going to give them a ceiling with the palm of your hand. If they're a lot taller than you got to get really close. Knee to chest. Before you go anywhere, really engage your standing leg. Then shift a little forward and rock up. Nice. And change sides. Get really close to them if they're tall. And at some point you just can't reach and okay, that's posture one. You all understand that this is the rocking up part? The rocking up part is really quite optional, and it just really demonstrates a total amount of control. But what we're really looking for is here's a person, are they actually using their standing leg or are they sagging on their joints? So you want to be able to get to the point where that leg fully cinches up. It's a totally confident leg. Okay? And that's what we're trying to teach. And giving them the ceiling, the main reason for that is not so that they rock up, but so that they can totally feel how to muscularly engage. Make sense? Now, we're going to try moving column. For moving column, stand in front of them. Be available if they need you, or you can kneel in front of them. And then just breathe with them. You're just there if they need you. Encourage them to turn their head opposite. Notice when they come back to center if they cross the midline with their knee or foot, right? It should be in line with the hip. See if they're turning their chest and their head, or if they're just kind of like turning their arm. You can also have them push this hip crease down, or you can do it for them. If they're flexible, and only if they're flexible enough to put the leg out straight, then you can try elbow against your own hip under the foot. Give it a try. Yep, just like that. Okay. Flex your foot now. Flex your foot. Leg up, straight or bent. Yep, you can hold from underneath. So you want to lean toward her a little bit, Simon. Walk closer to her. Wide. Can you turn your head? Macy, see if you can bend your knees and be like elbow against hip with your palm face up. Back to center. Cross and turn. You can help her. Lean toward them. Don't pull them toward you. Don't pull them toward you. Come back to center. Leg to head to leg, or push and release. Macy, you see this? Like this, you look like this. Like this, you're like, do. You can do all day. Other side. Take a few breaths in each pose. Just find the steady place, Lou. Use her as much as you need to till you can breathe. You got to lock up the leg first. Super engaged leg. Few breaths in each pose. On the side, because she's more flexible in her inner. Pose. Finishing with a cross turn. And then you finish with leg to head to leg, exhale. And as the teacher, you try to disappear in such a way that they have control. Change roles. Tracy, you might be able to do a straight leg with someone helping you. Yeah. Okay, Lou, you're right here.
Am I going towards you?
Now, why don't you come over here so you're further from them? There you go. That's fine. That's fine. On this matter, that matter. Who's going to help you there? Welcome. like this. There you go. Yep, I'm gonna try to catch under the foot. You can use both hands. Use this hand to catch. And then, no, it's fine. We're gonna use one hand to catch and you're gonna pull it to the other hand. That's fine. You got her. Okay. Can you lift it up, Lou? Help her lift it. There you go. Walk in close, Lou. You're good. There you go. Lean toward her a little bit. Don't pull her toward you. Okay, now walk out to the side. Walk with her. Then come back to center. Lean toward her. Don't. There you go. You want to bring it in line with her hip. She's going to switch hands. You got to have her. Can you grab the outer edge of your foot, Tracy? Bend your knee if you need to. Over the top. There you go. Come back to center. Bow to your leg. And then you got to slowly disappear, Lou. Good job. So, hey, that you can get your elbow against your hip. It's like that. Or if you need to, both elbows against both hips or something like that. But try not to be like super tense. Now give it a go on the other side. Nice, Subin. Then bend your knees, dear, and lift it up. Stay there, inhale, and then lift it up on the exhale. Stay there, inhale, and then lift it on the exhale. Like that. That's how you measure. Then drop it when you're ready to come back to center. And then you want to be slightly leaning toward her a tiny bit. Good?
Yeah.
Then bend your knees to lift up, Michael, even though you're strong. There you go. Stay there. Breathe with her. Inhale. So, Michael, you do it one breath at a time, right? Inhale with her, and then exhale, go a little further. Inhale, back off a little. Exhale, go a little further. You got to breathe with her. Then drop it to come back to the center. So eventually Nina can bind around her own leg in this pose. She comes back to center. And then lean toward her a little bit. Tiny bit. There you go. Yeah. And then lift the leg, Michael. And then you got to disappear slowly so that she takes it. Ah, so nice. Okay, you all got the idea? A level 1 class, we're not really doing that. That's, more advanced. Level 1 class, you're just mostly there and you're monitoring, like, are they really, really weebly wobbly? And we're having them change orientations because that's the way the world is. Once a person can be realistic with him or herself at this entry place, they're like here and they're like, being realistic, which might be, that's being realistic. And we know because they're not, whoa, okay? Because this is how they do stress. What you see in a balancing pose is how people do stress. So coaching breathing is super important. And you'll notice as a yoga teacher that you start to stress out when everyone in the room is doing balancing poses. You'll also notice that it feels like all the oxygen gets sucked out of the room. It's because nobody's breathing. So make sure that in standing balancing poses, you teach them in a nice, relaxed way. And like I said, the tendency to be able to go faster through them. Instead, teach them slower. Really let people even have time to fall out and get back in it. Okay? Because that way they go out in life and they encounter a stressful situation and they actually take their time with it rather than rushing through it. Any questions about column pose or moving column pose, which isn't the classic name, but yeah.
When you're teaching, or when you're teaching a wall,
Yeah.
what does that? I don't normally use the wall. Are you just touching it the whole time, or like?
Great. Yeah, great. So you all are going to do, you and Lou are going to start teaching. Actually, you'll start in like, 15 hours, 15 hours, 14 hours. Okay. So it means you're going to be right there. And what you're broadcasting is your own practice. You all took Nina's silent class, right? She's like, just broadcast peace, right? And then you all feel really peaceful while you do. It's going to be the same when you and Lou do the class. Whatever you're feeling is going to get broadcast. We're going to be right next to you to help you. You all can have your sheet, or you can just do your best to try to remember, and whoever's next to you will say cat cow if you forget. So you're literally not going to have to remember anything, because someone who knows will be right next to you. And you say, I forgot what's next. And they'll say, and you might not be able to read, which is fine, but someone will be there to help you. You're just there dealing with what it takes to be the leader. By the time you get to standing balancing poses, people are pretty warmed up. And it's important at that point in class that you do something that's super relaxing for you and requires zero stress. And so even if you don't need the wall, if you go to the wall at that point, and talk, say the name, that's all you have to say, Julie, is Jenny. Sorry. This column goes. And you're just there. Then you can be here. But by you going there, you gave yourself permission to be there. Whereas if you stay at your mat and start the pose, and you're like, crap, I'm really wobbly. Then it feels awkward to go walk to the wall at that point because the people are doing the pose. And by the way, yoga teachers in general, don't walk around during the standing balancing poses. Like, people are trying to concentrate. And if you're like, like, I guess it's not wrong, but it makes it a lot harder. Yeah. So it's a better time to just stay put in a level 1 class. Okay, for sure. So that's what I mean. And you can step up onto the platform if you want. You can. It also, the other thing it does is when the teacher does something, it gives all the new people permission. Well, they're like, well, if the teacher's doing it, Good question. What other questions? Column, moving column. Yes, Subin. So it's the same thing. The shoulder will just go down toward the butt, but it's a good question. It's not correct to grab from the inside. You actually want to grab from the outside because you can keep your outer hip crease down. I mean, some people can't reach that way, but it's considered to be a better way to start the pose because otherwise you have to rearrange your hip later. Then when I'm a big fan of you all feeling what works best. Then when you go out, some people, I don't mind if people even change their shoulder angle when however they feel like they can hold, because there's a way in which some people are so flexible depending on how they hold. But you eventually can reach under your own leg and bind. But you would need to grab the foot with your left hand first. Okay, you have to grab the foot with your left hand first, and then you need to reach around behind and grab. She's okay. So even Nina, who's super flexible, she needs to breathe when she does her poses. So you need to inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Like that. She's going to breathe the whole time. Once you can hook your foot there and be strong enough to hold it. Can you reach back with your other hand now? Not like that. Drop, reach around behind, bind. Okay. Yeah, so there's all. Yeah, there are all sorts of things, like I said. We're here. You all inhale with her. You all exhale with her. You all inhale with her and exhale with her. Inhale with her. Exhale with her. Okay? And then release. So if she's not warmed up, when does this pose happen? Not in like 4:30 in a yoga lab. This pose happens after she's been warming up for an hour. And Nina's a little bit out of practice even. Okay, so it's like this is something that's happening when you're practicing vigorous asana for 90 minutes a day, most every day. But I do encourage you to skip the menses. It's actually better and healthier in long run, even though I don't have one that's still suggested by the literature. So we're gonna, any other questions about column, moving column? Remember, it's nice to watch Nina do that, but remember we're doing level 1 yoga. So it's really like, you know, can they engage their standing leg? Can they actually feel how to fully engage? Or even micro bend and stand. And they don't need to do like a squat. It's just micro bend, inhale, fully engage, exhale. And that's what you want to teach until it gives them permission to be not straight. And it gives them something to do. Yes, Sarah.
If I remember correctly, I think you told me once that in this standing pose, you're not gaining flexibility, you're gaining straight. Like it's not.
That's a good point.
To gain flexibility. So when I was working with Simon, his right hamstring was pretty tight, and so being able to extend it straight out and keep the full engage wasn't possible. So in that situation, if he still wants to extend his leg, can he let go and I support it while he still works on engaging the column?
I didn't really love what I saw with Michael and Nina when they were doing that. I mean, it's okay, but what tends to happen if they can't really bring their heel up as their hip is that they're tensing their lower back and leaning back while you're doing that. So it doesn't, I don't really like that. The reason I say don't gain flexibility, Nina could actually be stable enough if she was like really practiced or whatever, that she could actually also work a little on flexibility in a standing balancing pose. However, even for Nina, as you saw, like the propensity of falling or coming out is so high, and that's when there's like, it's not at 28 years old that ligament, that one time cuts, but it might put a little micro tear. And over the course of 10, 15 years, that's when ladies who are dancers, figure skaters, gymnasts, whatever, that's why they end up with all these injuries when they're in their 40s. So I'd rather see people focus on flexibility on the floor when they're fully supported, and then they can bring that attained flexibility to their standing balancing pose. So whether it's like Natarajasana or reach over for a big toe like this, or whether it's handstand splits or whatever it is, I'd rather people achieve that flexibility through the combination of the long stances and standing poses and the floor exercises where they're fully supported. Then when it comes to the one-legged poses, they already have that openness to their body, and that's what I mean by that. That was a really good question. So can we look at one more balancing pose before we can do two actually probably. So airplane and balancing stick are basically the same. Airplane's just easier because it doesn't require shoulder flexibility. We'll use Lou as the example for this because he so beautifully embodies it. Okay. All right, so here's Lou. He's going to go left foot forward, right foot back. Okay. And airplane pose is here. And there he is, okay? Stay there. Okay, you can look a little bit further forward. You don't need to come up. You can keep your foot on the ground, but look over there, Lou, because we want you to still have, you're caving your chest in. I want you to stay upright because we're always working on you on back of head back, right? So push your head into my hand. There you go. Okay, then use your shoulder blades more. You can let the hands come out to the side more. Okay, back of head back. Okay, there's Lou's airplane. He didn't even leave the ground. Airplane just sort of like on the runway still. Okay, he can bend his left knee, inhale, straighten his left leg, exhale. Bend his left knee, inhale, and then straighten and try to lift the right foot, exhale. Bend and touch the ground again, and lift off again. Touch the ground again, and lift off again. Good, and then come up to standing. Take an extra breath. That was a really nice airplane pose, actually, because even the way he came out of it was controlled. Okay, now other side. Okay, other side. So here he is. So Lou, stay there. Okay. Your tendency is to look too close to you. So if you look forward a little further, you can then bring your head back too. Push the back of your head back. That's better. Okay. And then it's a touch release. That's what I call it. So he bends his right leg, and then he straightens. And he's doing what tends to happen in this pose a lot, which is this twist. So go back onto the ground, Lou. There you go. Stay there. And before you go anywhere, use the ball of your toes on the ground, not your toe tip. So you can feel how to square your foot on the ground. You see how I stepped on his heel? Okay, I'm being lazy. All right, stay there, Lou. And then on your exhale, straighten your right leg and lift your left foot. On your inhale, put it back down just like it was. On your exhale, lift it up. Okay, can you feel how you twist a little bit, Lou? All right, so on the ground, before you go anywhere, go and put your hands on your hips. Turn your hips till they're square. Now commit to that. Don't put your arms out. Just stay like that. And now straighten your leg and your leg and foot. And put it back down. Straighten the leg and lift the foot. And you'll notice, Lou, the thing that happens for you, put it back down, the thing that happens for you that you can feel it with this hand is that this hand starts to turn this way. So you got to commit to keeping this hand back. All right, now try it. Look at that. Not twist. Okay. This is so hard for Lou. Why would we have him bring his arms over his head? Well, let's see what it looks like and see how much harder it gets. Okay, both arms overhead. Both arms overhead. So start like this, Lou. Arms overhead, interlaced fingers before you go anywhere. Okay, now step your right foot back. Or your left, that's fine. Okay. Okay, here he is. This is like asking a lot of his shoulders right now, and he has trouble balancing. So I'd rather he just focused on balancing for a little while because he has so much trouble getting his arms straight. But he can still try. Get him back down and up. Inhale down. Exhale up. Inhale down. You notice how you're scrunching your toes? Yeah. Okay. And up and down. Now release the arms. Now that was a lot for your shoulders, right? Okay. So we don't mind it. But if we're looking at like, if we had a choice for him, let's try to get it to where he can get more confident on his legs first and then add something harder. Okay, I'll demonstrate. Who else would like to do balancing stick? Anyone? Okay, come. No, you try it on both. Don't try it on one. Can you take your socks off? So I like this. I like balancing stick for this body because it takes a lot of strength. Am I okay here, Nina, on the camera? Or? Yeah. Okay. Because I'm going to assist her, or actually let's watch her do it once. So we want to assist her. And a good place to watch is from where the people on the side are, or the people in the front is fine too. So be on one of the cardinal directions I would recommend. Okay, arms overhead. Step forward, left foot. Or right, that's. Warrior 3 is the name a lot of people call this. I call it because it's a little easier to understand what's happening. All right. She's already making a back bend. So. Stay there and go further. Keep going. She's kind of reaching the right pose. And come up, and come up. All right, it was long enough. So I saw that she kind of does a back bend in the pose, which is okay. I'll help correct it. Other side? It's not wrong. It's just not emphasizing the strength aspect that we want. Can you do the other side at all? Even if you need to keep your foot on the ground. We're just watching. Your standing legs got you. That's what you're feeling. Is my standing leg? Straighten and lift, then go back down. Straighten and lift. You okay? You can stay there. You're doing fine. What's happening for you? Okay. Okay. You want to try? So I gave her a tool for exploration. And that's the job as the teacher. Even when you did just that, you tended to cross your foot behind you. So instead, give yourself a little bit more width. So you can try the difficult side again. You don't need that much width. There you go. Okay. Arms overhead. Okay. And I'll support you this time. Okay. Ready? Am I helping? So I'm pushing down into her. Now you crossed on behind your other foot. There you go. Okay. Okay, bend your knee a tiny bit and straighten and lift your leg. Bend your knee a tiny bit and straighten and lift your leg. Bend your knee a tiny bit and straighten and lift your leg. Good, and then come up and bend both knees. Okay. All right. Okay, stay there. We're not done. You can sit down if you want. So the key thing is she has pain. You can sit on the blankets or whatever if you need to. Okay, the key thing is we want to give her a tool for how to explore so that she can work with developing some symmetry, because Anna's young. And if she's feeling this much pain already, that's not a good sign. Do you have any car crashes or falls or anything? Okay. So that's a good thing, because there's right, asymmetrically maybe or something like that. So we're going to look at how can we help her develop symmetry. And this is great. This is, in a way, the posture practice in one of its beautiful forms. She's young. She can start by getting warmer and eating more juicy. And then she can use her posture practice in a really symmetrical way and take her time and not like avoid things because they're slightly painful, but instead like slow down, commit to alignment, and just do a real basic thing. Because for Anna, at times she's so flexible that she can go into a full posture. So for her, if she can't even start the pose, she thinks it's broken and I can't even do it. But that's not true. That's the reality for like a large percentage of people all the time. And so for you, if you can just slow down and do this basic touch release, that's how you're starting to figure out, like, where does that come from? Where am I torqued? Where is there some asymmetry that's happening? Okay? And generally, when someone has this condition, like she has right now, where there's one leg that feels really off, rather than balancing stick, which requires a tremendous amount of strength, I like what's called the rotated side cross. So can you come up again? All right, I'm going to support you the whole time. So arms overhead, interlace your fingers. Okay, I've got you. Let your right foot go back. Okay, you can bend your left knee. Okay, and we're just going to bring you down. Put your right hand on the ground. Right hand on the ground. There you go. Okay, you got it?
Yeah.
Okay, this hand goes to this hip. Okay, and then you're going to bend and straighten both legs. Exhale, straighten. Bend, inhale. And straighten, exhale. Because this one was the one that was having a lot of trouble. So we're just focusing on that with an extra kickstand. You okay there? Can you lift your back leg a little higher? Can you zip up towards your pelvis? Good, then look down. You feel the shakiness in your left leg? Okay, you're fine though, right? Okay, and then try to lift up your right arm and come up. Straight up, straight up. Stand up. Okay, and that's the exercise how she can start to build that standing. Probably don't work on balancing stick even supported that much. Okay, and this hand comes to this hip, right? There you go. And this side's easy for her. Okay. I'm going to demonstrate one more balancing stick adjustment just so you all can see it. We don't need to do it. But the help, let's just actually do this all together. Okay? Let's all do this together. So I'll do it with somebody. And you all can do it with me. So partner with your partner. I'll work with you, Lou, right here. Okay, because you're going to be the hardest. Okay, right foot back, arms overhead. Okay, you're going to start like this. Interlace fingers, all the fingers. Go ahead, y'all are doing it. Okay, then here I am, and I am grabbing his hands, and I'm pushing down that diagonal line into his back foot. Not super hard, but a little bit. Okay, as I push there, he knows I've got him. He can start to lift his back leg. Keep dropping your chest now. Come on, I got it. You can put as much weight on me as you need to. Lift the back leg. Lift the back leg. You're going to bring them until their chest, their head is the same height as their hips. Straighten your arms. Lift the arms up. If they've got it, slowly let go. If they don't, push them up. Other side. Okay, so I start by pushing down that diagonal line. Got him. Come on. Come on, flex at your hip. There you go. I'm here. Straighten your arms, lift the back leg. There you go, I'm here. Bend both knees a little, inhale. Straighten both knees, exhale. Zip up your arms. You might have it on the side, so you can lift off me. Lift off me all the way up. Lift off me all the way up. How about that?
Yeah, I can do that same thing.
Yeah.
I can do that at home on my bed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll demonstrate with Subin. Another thing that I sometimes do. Your back hurt you? Does your back hurt? Okay. So arms overhead. Just watch what I do with her. When someone who can pretty much do on their own, I say, come on. I don't need to do much. I just catch under the wrists though. Just a tiny bit's enough for her. Okay, drop chest more. Leg up more. Because I want her to feel how to zip up, I just pass her a little bit forward and back. Zip up, zip up. Leg needs to come higher. You can point your back toes if you want. Then straight up off me, straight up. Okay, other side, we'll do both sides. All right, and this just tiny back and forth thing, if they've like over rotated their hips like a figure skater or a gymnast, if they've, come on down. This is the side you got to take the bunch out of your left hip. How do you do it? You bend your left knee, and then you straighten it and bring your left butt back. There you go. Leg up higher. Okay, you ready? You can bend your left knee a tiny bit if you want to. Get that left butt back. There you go, leg up. Now lift up off me. Okay? You all understand? Okay? Take a breath, take a breath. So switch roles. We're gonna do this all together. You don't need to do it. You don't need to do it anymore. Okay? So 1 foot forward, 1 foot back if you're receiving kind of is a nice stance. All right, you're just pushing down toward their back foot. That way they know that you've got them. And then you're gonna hinge. You gotta make a little more room for me here. That's fine. Okay, ready? Okay, I'm coming down. We're getting the chest, head, hips square. If they seem like they have it, you can pass them a little bit forward and back. That helps them feel the line of their standing foot. And then slowly let go, see if they can lift up off you. Other side. You're there right at the beginning of the pose. You ready? You gotta make room for me. So you're bringing my hands over to your right. There you go. That's good. Yep. You notice how that little back and forth helps you feel your standing foot, right? The tiny bit of back and forth helps you feel your standing foot, right? That gives you a tiny bit back and forth, and you feel like if you're really square on your foot or if you're not, because they're just passing you that way. It really gives you stability. Hmm? Right. Once they get up to the floor, and you can give them coaching until you see that. And you can see like Subin bunched up on one side on her ribs, so I was trying to get her to how to lengthen there. This is a big, huge difference that you all will see between yoga and figure skating, dancing, whatever, where they come into a pose like that, but then they also externally rotate, stack their hips, which is a really not great thing to do for the hip joint. Am I making sense? So in yoga, these really symmetrical standing balancing poses give plenty of room for the hip joint while balancing rather than also then compressing the joint. Mm-hmm. You don't need to do that so much. I'd say work on building your arches and other poses. You know, work on building your arches and other poses. And I promise you that if you just notice, like, I'll do this exercise sometimes. I'll say, okay, walk in place. Walk in place. Lift your knees, lift your knees, lift your knees, lift your knees. And stop. Which leg are you standing on? That's your dominant leg. Then look at your feet, you know. Okay? Okay. So that's one exercise. And another thing for Michael is to notice if he tends to be just standing like this, with his toes out. Okay? So he should always be correcting to second toe straight ahead. And that alone will help rebuild his inner arch. Because when he stands with his feet out like that, he's collapsing. It was a fun yoga lab. Y'all had fun? Okay. So we tend to also have more poses in life later on, things like tree pose. And I think I cover that sometimes in this, but it's not a classic part of the level 1 flow. Because just getting people oriented in the front plane when balancing is enough for level 1. That's my experience. It wouldn't be wrong if you taught tree pose in level 1. It also wouldn't be wrong if you even added the balancing in the side cross, which is another class of standing balancing poses. Because actually, even older people can usually attempt that as long as you let them bend their knee a lot to touch the ground and start like this and then go like that. Let's see Lou. I think Lou can even do it. So start in a little triangle pose. Your hips will be square towards me. Turn out your right toes. Remember how we were turning in the back toes a little? Oh yeah, okay. Moving your hips a little bit. Remember that little dance we did? But don't do the dance, instead do the hip rotation. Really, rotate the hip. And up. It's okay. Come up a little. Try to rotate the hip a little more. Yeah, it's no problem. You can move a little more than you think. There you go, up. Now bend your right knee. Reach for the ground out in line with your pinky toe. Touch. See, he can do it. Now start to turn your chest a little towards Anna. There you go, no problem. Except he's holding his breath. Just whatever, it really wasn't that dangerous. You follow me? It wouldn't be wrong to have that in level 1 yoga. I think it's a safe enough thing most people can try. Yes, Nina?
So the figure skating thing in this pose, you wouldn't focus on what you focus on.
So there's a real difference in the setup of the pose, which is that here you've started off with your hip in flexion when you started the pose. Here you've already started off with your hip in external rotation. So you've already got your hip in a different setup to start the pose. If you start with your hip in flexion, balance, and then try to turn into external rotation, that's when so much weight is bearing down on your hip joint and you're starting to turn in the hip joint. That's when figure skaters, dancers, whatever, that can create problems in the labrum. You know, it creates a lot of problem in the joint. So it's yoga looks a lot more mechanical in some ways, but you can still have nice flowing pieces. Okay. Other questions? Yeah, you're always correct. And that's the, you all are learning how to, you're embodying by 125 classes at least doing, at least 50 classes teaching a form that you really, really understand, which in my book is nothing. I had to do like 1,000. So it's really not a lot. Okay. And there's no doubt, you know it, you feel it, it's embodied, it's in you. Plus you've had to teach it 50 times, like a bunch of times. So there's no doubt. After that, then you can start to like make some stuff up, okay? But only once you've really embodied something and really understand something. All right. That's just the way that I roll. And I have seen or enough practice teaching. And yoga injuries are unfortunately very common now. Very, very common. And yoga teachers are often hurt. So that's the last thing that we should embody. We're going to do question and answers. Some of you are ready to do question and answers. I'll be here. Otherwise, if you want to take as long as you want to go for a walk, get some food, whatever. But I will be like doing question and answers, so you might miss some of that if it's important to you. Okay. Can you hit stop record there? Stop record. Or Nina can do it. She's here. But you need to learn probably.